continue with the last M in today's class. Like I said, we deal with the first 3 M: man, human power, material, and the last one in machine. Money we deal with in the next few classes when we do the estimate pricing the project. So that in the machine, and we will have 2 more problems, problem 4 and problem 5 about the machine. So talk about machine and productivity. The concept that we talking is the production rate, and the first is how to determine the standard production rate of a machine. Standard production rate, and that measure with the R. And what does that mean in terms of definition? That is the number of output units per unit time. So that the definition, the number of output units per unit time. So with that, we can have the equation for standard production rate R. It equal to the number of output units C divided by the unit time T. So what is C stand for? C is cycle capacity. So basically that is the number of outputs unit per cycle of the operation under the standard work condition. So that it will be the definition, that is the number of output unit per cycle of operation. And standard work condition. We can talk about standard here because in the real life the actual condition may not be the same as the standard work condition as specified. So we need to adjust that, and we will talk about that later on. But here, you keep that in mind. So what is the cycle capacity? For example, if the dump truck, so one cycle they go back and forth to load the material and dump and go back. That is one cycle. And the cycle capacity, that is the volume of that truck can carry one time. That is C. And of course, then we have T is basically cycle time. Cycle time. And of course, by definition, that is the unit of time per cycle of operation. Unit of time, how many hours, how many minutes that you can repeat the same process per cycle of operation. So in the canvas, I post the YouTube video, basically the link that you can see in the slide number 5 of the PowerPoint, the cycle time here. And I ask you to watch in the first 90 seconds only, determine what is the cycle time of the excavator. Okay, and then you also see what is the cycle capacity for the excavator and the cycle capacity for the dump truck are different. So let's do that exercise with your own and see what is the cycle time for that excavator given that working condition. So let's go back to here, cycle time. So from that we can have the standard production rate, and then that per hour. Now we want to know, okay, how about the daily standard production rate? So from here we can find out the daily standard production rate. and that measured by P. Measured by P. So for P here, very simple, it depends on how many hours you work per day. So from that equation, we have P is equal to the standard production rate times H, which is the operation hours, and that is equal to C over T is R, so I have CH over T, right? CH over T, because the R equal to C over T. And H, that is the operating hour per day, operating. Per day. And of course, depends on we work overtime or not. If the problem don't say anything, then you can say the that one, for example, H equal to 8 hours per day. Okay, if the problem don't say anything, assume normal work hours. But in the real life, the not everything under standard. We need to have the adjust for the actual conditions, and that way we have a concept of actual equipment productivity. So it means, and that is the last concept we talking before we move on to the problem. So the actual equipment productivity. So we have to adjust for actual conditions with many factors that we talked in earlier, factor affecting the job site productivity, accessibility, etc. So that is the actual. Whenever the actual, we put apostrophe on that. For example, here R apostrophe stand for from the standard production rate R, then actual it be R apostrophe. So we have to adjust for the factor, so we can have R apostrophe equal to the standard time on the factor we have F1, F2, any adjustment factor that you might have. Can be any factor. And that F1, F2, F3, etc. that is the adjustment we need to make. Depends on how the actual condition different from the standard condition. What is the standard condition? Normally defined by the manufacturer of the equipment. That is the factor adjustment. For condition, that lower standard production rate, that lower So that is the concept for the machines with introduced standard production rate, daily standard production rate, and actual equipment productivity. In the next video, we will apply this concept in solving problem 4 and 5.